Okay, now yesterday we got up to the contradictions with shape without form, shade without colour, paralysed force, gesture without motion. So that's where we're going from. I've just got, I'm going on to this copy now. Now, we've written that with this one, we've got the contradictions, the image of the corpse, that notion of futility with those, with the images there. And now, this is to do with Dante's Inferno, which is why it was so well timed that Chloe mentioned Dante at the start. What you're going to write, I'll read it to you first. We're writing it here where we've got the space, maybe just underneath here actually. And what you're writing is spiritual unfulfillment, Dante's Inferno, the shades. So he refers to these characters in the epic poem called shades, and the shades in the poem never made a choice regarding their spiritual state during life. Instead, they lived solely for themselves. Neither heaven or hell will accept them. So that's what they've become in this notion of purgatory, shape without form, shade without colour, paralysed force, gesture without motion, because they didn't make a decision about spirituality whilst they were alive. Alright, so to write this, so make sure that you're keeping up with me. Alright. Okay, so spiritual unfulfillment. Is that big enough?
I don't even know. I'll show you.
Alright, I'm going to move on in about 30 seconds, guys, so make sure that you're keeping up. Okay, guys, I'm going to move on. Now, okay, I'm going to assume, because people are talking, that you're finished writing that. Now, the next thing that we're going to write is one of these things that has to do with the entire poem, and it's to do with the structure of the poem. If you have a look at the way the poem looks, as we, I said that I'm going to be fairly quick, guys, so you've got to keep up and not talk as I'm writing. When we have a look at the structure, okay, so you see we've kind of got this stanza, couple of lines on its own, stanza, and then there's not a sense of the stanzas being predictable, and then certainly by the time we get to the end, things are fragmented. We've got "For thine is the kingdom" off to the side here. Similarly with "Life is very long," and then as the poem finishes, it feels like it's breaking up. So that notion of fragmentation, which is a big thing in Eliot's poetry and in modernist literature, is that the fragmentary poem highlights the chaos of modern existence. So this is to do with form. So I'm putting it right up the very top here. So if you've got room up the very top, then place it there. Otherwise, wherever it is that you've got some room. As I said, up here, so I'm writing fragmentary poem. I think it's fragmentary, not fragmentary. Hold on, I'm just going to look that up. Might be ARY. Fragmentary. No, it's ARY, fragmentary.
Oh, of course he does.
Okay, so that is an important point. Now, this is to do with form. So, you might like to make a note of that there. Okay, moving on. All right. Without talking, guys, when you're sitting there talking right in front of me, it's really hard for me to kind of maintain my focus, so please don't. One extra thing that I want you to add, where we've got the contradictions and the image of corpse and futility, just add this idea that we've got it's lacking, or these hollow men lacking moral strength and courage. Lacking moral strength and courage. Alright, now we've got, throughout the poem, we've got this repeated reference to eyes. So eyes acting as that synecdoche, that representation of a person. And we know that it's appeared for us previously in Eliot's poetry, hasn't it? What have we said previously about what eyes represent? Windows to the soul, okay? And it's the eyes that show humanity or show a lack of humanity. And in, now which one? We had the, it was, okay, so here, with preludes, in preludes we had the eyes in preludes, we have the eyes in formulated thing, time, dying for arms, white and brown, do I dare her? At the end of Rhapsody, yeah. So, go to the end of Rhapsody. There we go. Yeah, so, guys, end of Rhapsody, we had the feeble eye of the moon, that the eye without knowledge or power, and then we come here to the Hollow Men, and suddenly we have this word, eyes, this image of eyes throughout the poem. So we're going to just go through now and either highlight or circle each time we see eyes. I'm going to highlight for this one. So we see the first one here, those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom. Remember us, if at all, not as lost violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. Before we write our annotations on that, we're going to find the other examples of eyes. Go straight over the page to section 2, and it starts with eyes I dare not meet in dreams, in death's dream kingdom. There the eyes. Then we're going to go to section 3. We don't have any in section 3. Section 4. The eyes are not here. There are no eyes here. Then we turn the page to the last stanza in section 4, because the eyes reappear. And that I think that is it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times that we have the word eyes, but then we've got other words that relate to eyes. We've got sightless and yes, we'll get to them as we get to them. But for now, let's go back to this stanza. So, thanks girls. Those who have crossed, sorry, wrong page, there we go. Those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom. So this is where we're talking about heaven as a place that these hollow men are not in. They've not achieved heaven. We've got right, the first thing we're going to do is we'll make note of our first mention of eyes, and we're just going to write here. Eyes are a symbol and repeated. Repeated synecdoche. Repeated synecdoche. Those who have crossed with direct eyes. Now, if you have direct eyes, and if we think about death's other kingdom as being heaven, because we've got purgatory here. So, if this is heaven, and this is kind of, I guess, the first confirmation that we get that this is referring to purgatory, because it says, well, those who have crossed into death's other kingdom. So we're like, oh, so here you were talking about death's kingdom. This is death's other kingdom now. So this is indicating to us that this here, this spiritual unfulfillment from Dante's Inferno, is indeed referring to purgatory. So here, if you've got direct eyes, what do you think that is referring to? Direct eyes.
Like direct vision.
Into, yes, you're correct. Yes. What did you say, Chloe? Oh, okay, yes. Only going, yes, I hadn't thought of that, but yes, I like it. Okay. Yeah. When you're looking directly at something, there's that focus and that sense of, I guess, honesty or ownership. So think about when a little kid is lying, all right? And one of the ways you can get them to crumble under their lie is to go, you've got to look me in the eye, tell me, did you do it? And if a little kid is lying, they find it really hard to look you in the eye and maintain that lie. They'll either laugh or look away or give themselves away. But if someone has lied or done something wrong and they're going to own it and they can look you in the eye and go, yep, that was me, I stuffed up, I'm really sorry. There's an honesty that comes from that. So if someone is saying sorry and they don't look at you and they just go, yeah, whatever, sorry, then there's not that direct, focused sense of honesty. So if someone has direct eyes, so those who have crossed with direct eyes, so it's not saying that they've only ever been good and always bound for heaven, but maybe they can own who they've been, that they've got that ability to understand and to redeem, like Kurtz. So at the end of Heart of Darkness, when Kurtz had done all these horrible things and he cries in a whisper, the horror, some of the analysis of that has been, is he in that moment redeemed? Because in Christianity, certainly in Catholicism, the idea is it doesn't matter what you've done on earth, if at the moment of your death you're truly sorry and you're able to repent to God, then God will forgive you. That's the idea. And so if we think about that, it requires complete ownership of what you've done, or who you've been, or what you haven't done. And so those direct eyes, they're focused, they're without distraction, and then when Chloe, you said, how did you word it? You said, was it with the without distraction, like the, it was like that one way type thing, like, that determination. Yeah, almost like that determination. That to me is what honesty is, and truly knowing yourself, even if you've not been perfect. So I think here he's saying, well, those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom, because when Dante was writing about the shades and saying, well, they never made a choice regarding their spiritual state. They lived solely for themselves, and so they were just like flapping around, doing whatever, and then when they died, they didn't ever have that sense of ownership or honesty or understanding, and so they remain in purgatory. But here he's saying, well, those who were able to directly look at God or at themselves or whatever, with honesty and ownership and understanding, they have crossed over into heaven. And he's saying, remember us, or in the form of the Hollow Man, remember us, if at all, not as lost violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. So he's asking for understanding. He's asking for understanding. He's asking for empathy in a way. He's like, he's doing two things, I think. He's condemning this society of hollow men. But at the same time, here, he's saying, well, it's not that they were violent, but it's just that they didn't know any better. They're hollow, they're stuffed. Like, this is the society we're in. Like, how much of it is our fault if it's what we are surrounded by and have grown up with? And what about if he's talking about the returned soldiers from the war and those men who had to do these horrific violent things, but they're not violent souls. They're just hollowed out. They're stuffed with the duty that they had to perform and the job that they were given and the lack of choice that they have that has led to them being hollow when they return because of the PTSD. So it's quite a complex way of thinking about it. He's not just condemning modern man and saying you're all going nowhere because of this. He's saying it's also not your fault. Now, there's also here, okay, it's going to lead into the next bit that refers back to Dante. And in the Inferno, this character of Dante, he cannot meet Beatrice's eyes due to his shame. And so in that one, because in the next bit it says, eyes I dare not meet in dreams. So what if we can't look someone in the eye? What's that referring to? And it refers back to Dante's Inferno. Before we get to that, we're going to make a note here about this. So this being heaven, so he's referring to the ones who have entered heaven are the ones capable of looking directly at life and the universe and seeing inner truth. And Kurtz, though not heaven bound, had this realization at death, the horror. So this is what we're going to write, okay? So, the ones who have entered heaven are the ones capable of looking directly at life the universe and at God they can ask for redemption. And then Kurtz Now the next little bit that I was explaining just here about asking for understanding, society is broken and the men do not know any better. Yeah. Yep.
So those 4 lines are all the same.
Yeah. Asking for understanding. Society is broken. So it's really pleading for empathy, isn't it? So I'm going to add pleading for empathy. Just as a little addition, just this here. Not as lost violent souls, and I really do think that that speaks to World War I soldiers. Violent acts, but violent acts but without violent intent, because it was the orders followed, not the desire for violence. Okay. Where are we up to? So, got part 2 here. Eyes I dare not meet in dreams, in death's dream kingdom. These do not appear. Girls, there the eyes are, sunlight on a broken column. There is a tree swinging, and voices are in the winds singing, more distant and more solemn than a fading star. This idea of the star appears now. It's a religious allusion to, who knows? Who knows the religious allusion of the star? Yeah, birth of Jesus. So, at the time that Jesus was born, a star appeared that the 3 wise men followed to reach the birthplace of Jesus, to give him their gifts of frankincense, gold and myrrh. The idea of the star, think about at Christmas time, what do we put at the top of a Christmas tree? Either an angel or a star. And so it's got that religious connotation. Here, as we go through the poem, we start with a fading star, and then so we've got the fading star here, and then we end up with the twinkle of the fading star. We go to the perpetual star. Yes, and that's the last one, the perpetual star of death's twilight kingdom. So the star appears a few times from here. We've got the eyes here though that we've already pointed out as being this repeated synecdoche. So the eyes, obviously they're disembodied. And here, eyes I dare not meet in dreams. It's this idea of a fear, like I dare not meet the eyes. So for some reason, fear in meeting the eyes. So let's just make that note to begin with. Eyes as a source of fear. It really makes you think about how much meaning we attribute to eyes, and we, like, you know what it means. If there are eyes that are terrifying to look into, it's because whatever those eyes are representing is something to be feared. So, yes.
Could the eyes be like the eyes of, like, if you think of like a biblical angel, how they have like all the eyes? Could it be like judgment?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The eyes of judgment. Because, okay, so if we think about the eyes that can be feared because they show some kind of evil or monstrosity, right? But if the eyes are in Death's dream kingdom, if they're in heaven, the eyes of judgment, the eyes of the angels, the archangels, maybe the eyes of God, maybe the eyes of people who have passed before who haven't been hollow and stuffed. So the eyes here, a source of fear, let's write the eyes of religious judgment. And it goes along with the analogy I used before of the little kid who's telling a lie and they can't look you in the eyes and maintain that lie because they see judgment in the eyes, they see they get a sense of the consequences of what they're doing. They don't want to consider the bad aspects of their behaviour. Looking in the eyes makes someone face that. Because if their eyes I dare not meet, then that's that chance for redemption, but they can't meet those eyes that would give the redemption. This is where we're going to make this extra note about Dante's Inferno here. So it is, actually, you know what, I'm going to write it up the top here because it's a little bit. So this is what we're writing, guys. So Dante cannot meet Beatrice's eyes due to his shame. Now in Heart of Darkness, Marlowe encounters the force of the eyes. So Marlowe is the guy who's gone to retrieve Kurtz and he's on the boat going up the Congo. There's the invisible eyes of the forest. Remember I said that the forest is on either side, and yesterday I spoke about the whispering of the forest. There's also these glimpses of eyes in the forest. So he keeps seeing the eyes of the natives who are watching and judging. He's also got, there's Kurtz's dying gaze, because when Kurtz is dying, he says the horror, his eyes are open. The hollow men are shamed by the eyes of the virtuous, but the eyes also offer a chance of redemption. So it's that juxtaposition as well, shame but redemption. You've got to be brave enough to look in the eyes of he or she who is judging you in order to get that redemption, but the shame can prevent actually doing so. Grace?
Does that relate to the start of part 4 when it says the eyes are not here, there are no eyes here in this valley of dying stars?
Absolutely. This theme links, it keeps appearing now in this poem, okay? So, up the top is where I'm writing this. Let me put this here. I'll write it out so it's a bit neater. Okay, so let's do this. And then HOD is Heart of Darkness, okay?
What else are we going about? We have writing. Yeah, all of my friends would just give up in the first round.
So we've got that there, and then just here is where I'm going to place the bit specific to the hollow men, okay? And this is the hollow men ashamed. Guys, those of you who have packed up, how are you writing this last bit?
What?